What is up, guys? It is the Sound Quarantine Me Daddy Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gersh1, just Gersh1.
and today we're back to answer more questions that you guys have left below in our little series that we like to call For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, it's very important for you guys to put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first, which is what Ty Shingleton did. He asks, are there any recorded events of Sisters of Battle turning to the worship of chaos? Yes, there is. The Sisters of Battle have been corrupted by chaos. They are not like the Grey Knights. They are not like the Adeptus Custodes. Wait, have the Adeptus Custodes ever been corrupted?
Not that I'm aware of. I know they got wrecked by chaos, but I don't think they've been corrupted.
Usually it is a corruption of Tzeentch or Slaanesh, but obviously Khorne might seep in, and most of them have like first-hand experience with chaos gods or chaos powers. Right. You have to remember that the Sisters of Battle are the order militant of the ecclesiarchy or the imperial religion, basically. So whenever things go down, such as like not just like a demon invasion, but let's say like Tzeentch is scheming and plotting, and the Inquisition, or not the Inquisition, the ecclesiarchy finds out, they are the first ones to respond in a combat type of way. If you are a priest, you're obviously going to tell your Sisters of Battle and not the Adeptus Custodes or the Inquisition, because you have to remember that the Adeptus Custodes don't really like humans, and then the Inquisition is probably going to end up killing the entire planet.
Yeah. So
yeah.
And it's always beneficial to the church to, not be blown up.
Yeah. Also, the plagues. Plagues are a big thing, especially now since we're going through a pandemic?
Yeah, a plague of sorts.
And you hear it on the news all the time, like, oh, we have to protect our nurses and our doctors because they're on the front lines. Kind of the same thing. The Sisters of Battle, or Adeptus Sororitas, or Sororitas, no, Adeptus Sororitas sounds better. They have a special order called the
Hospitaller?
Yeah, something like that. You guys said I pronounced it wrong. Comment down below. Tell me how you pronounce Hospitaller again, because I forgot. But they're the ones going and dealing with Nurgle's plagues. And obviously, somebody's going to sneeze on somebody, and they got coronavirus now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I hear chaos and Sisters of Battle or chaos and the ecclesiarchy, it always leads to Slaanesh for some reason. I always like Slaanesh, and the Sisters of Battle are always in there, and I think I know why. But
in there.
Yeah, in there.
But yeah, good question.
Yeah, there's tons of like lore about them fighting against cultists and stuff like that. So
yeah, I did not pick up the codex for the Sisters of Battle, so I wonder if within the codex there is tabletop rules for cursed sisters or anything like that. Probably not, but that would be a really cool faction to get later on in the future, like a chaos version of the Sisters of Battle, not just your regular, squishy cultists. Even though the cultist models for GW are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
a good question. This next one is by Nicholas Anzalone. If the Katich Commandos spent 7 years amongst the Tiernans, why did they only spend 2 years to be decontaminated? Because it's not like, I spent a minute with this guy who's sick, so it's going to take me a minute to get, healed. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not how it works. But
yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Next question comes from Ty Shingleton again. He asks, when a Keeper of Secrets looks at you, does it see a demonette version of Bridget B? No, when you look at the Slaanesh demonette, you see a Bridget version of
the demon.
The demonette. Does that make sense?
Not at all.
Okay.
This one is by
Bridget B?
I hope so.
If only.
Jaeger Bomb, which is kind of similar to Bridget B. What chapter master or hero of a second founding chapter do you think will cross the Rubicon next? I'm hoping for Pedro Cantor.
Yeah, I'm surprised that. Well, I don't think he's going to be the next guy.
No.
And the reason he's not is because the Ultramarines aren't really. No.
They're Imperial Fist successors.
Yeah, the Crimson. So Imperial Fist already got the dude, the little hand guy. Well, he doesn't. He has a regular hand. He just has a big hand that makes his regular hand look little. With the buzz cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be a while before the Crimson Fists get anything.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is Cantor really from the Crimson Fist? He's not an Ultramarine dude.
No, he's a Crimson Fist. Oh. He's got a power fist that's red. Literally a Crimson Fist.
Yeah. Who do you think is gonna be the next person?
I always wanted Vulcan Heastan. I know it's not a successor chapter, but he seemed really important in the Salamander lore. He's got a bunch of relics on him, so what's like the next logical thing? Beef him up so he can continue searching for the rest of the relics.
Yeah.
But no, they gave it to Ash, wasn't it? What was his name? Agatrax?
Yep.
Something like that.
Something like
Agatone.
That. His model is also kind of cool.
His model is phenomenal, and I wanted it to be Heastan.
Yeah.
Or Heston, however you pronounce that.
I don't particularly even know what Space Marine chapter is next. Like, I feel like the Grey Knights haven't gotten any love for a while. So maybe the Grey Knights might get something. But I don't know if it's going to be a Primaris something. If it would, that would change it up a little bit. Make it more interesting.
Because obviously the ones that just came out were Space Wolves.
Yep.
Yeah. Wonder what's next.
Yeah. And it's... Yeah, we'll see. I really don't know.
Probably something like really apparent that we're not thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it might be Chaos, right? Because of Fabius Bile.
Yeah. Fabius Bile's the Fulgrim. I really wish Fulgrim's the next one to come out. Next Demon Primarch. We've been saying that for how long?
Ever. Next question comes from Sadamir Putin. Who would win in a fight, Magnus the Red or Exodia the Forbidden One from Yu-Gi-Oh?
This guy has some repressed memories from Exodia.
It's called PTSD. When I was, how old were we, 9, 8?
About, 5th grade-ish.
I went over to the Sound Alchemist house. I was going to spend the night, and we're going to have a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. And then the Docile Creature, which is a member of the Dungeon Hammer podcast. Check it out on the Dungeon Hammer website or channel.
Yeah.
He came over and he brought his Exodia and he revealed Exodia. I lost, and he had the audacity to grab my deck and then just throw it. It scattered everywhere, and then he looked at me and he said, "Pick it up," and then he just made me cry. It was the worst experience of my life. He's a horrible person.
It still scars him to this day.
I didn't talk for the rest of the night.
He did not, yeah. He picked up his card slowly with the ringing in his ears. Exodia, obliterate. Yeah. It was just like the anime. Yeah. His mind was literally in the shadow realm.
It was. Now, you told me that Exodia is what?
I'm pretty sure he's like an Egyptian god.
So an Egyptian god versus Magnus the Red, which is the most powerful Primarch Psyker of them all, maybe. I gotta give it to Magnus just because I feel like he has brains and not just bronze.
True. But Exodia always obliterates, so maybe even brains can't beat obliteration.
And the thing you have to remember about Magnus the Red is that you're not really fighting just Magnus. He also has Tzeentch on his back.
That's true. He could summon like all his 1,000 sons if he wanted to.
Yep. And on top of that, the Space Wolves, or not the Space Wolves, but specifically Lehman Russ was about to wreck him during right before the Horus Heresy, or at the start of the Horus Heresy, and then Tzeentch saved him from death. So maybe when Exodia is gonna obliterate Magnus the Red, or Tzeentch is going to just be like, nope.
That obliteration gets magic cylindered right back at him.
Magic cylinder.
I activate Mirror Force. Yep. And then Exodia is dead.
Next question.
This one is by Tin Man 40,000. Has Terra ever entered the warp? And if not, what's stopping that from happening? What about any other homeworlds of the Primarchs?
Terra has never entered the warp. I'm trying to think of all the other Primarchs.
I want to say, like, some of the Traitors Primarchs planets became demon planets. I don't remember which ones though.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too. Like the closest one is it might be Lorgar's place. I know for sure the Planet of the Sorcerers was not, because originally what I thought was that Magnus the Red and what was the planet called? Prospero was teleported into the warp, but it wasn't Prospero. It was just the city Tisca, which teleported into the warp, and then it became the Planet of the Sorcerers, and you could actually visit Prospero to this day.
Like right now?
Right now.
Almost.
Well, not right now because of the whole shelter in place.
Shut down. Borders are closed. Yeah.
Next question. I got one from Gideon Crider. It's been a while since we've gotten a question from Gideon. It seems like the majority and most devastating attacks against the Imperium come from humans and chaos. Was from humans and chaos. Why is the xenophobia getting the better of them? The few times they have teamed up, they end up beating usually the Tiernans. When they just fight again, if they made a pact, they could fight off the dangerous threats.
Because they're always... They're not trustworthy of one another. That's like saying, like, Gershwin and I, we're going to be fighting against the Tyranids, but at the same time, it's like, well, once we fight this, there's still going to be that, like, that animosity between one another.
Which is what happens in tabletop games, like, especially when we play...
When it's 1v1v1, it's always like you got to look... you got to look over your shoulder. It's like, okay, my orcs, or your orcs are going to team up with my Tau to beat the Dark Eldar. However, next turn, these guys can do the same thing for me, or maybe once we beat the Dark Eldar, then we still got each other to compete against. You're never safe when, in the far future, there is only war.
And then that stuff carries over, and you see that with like the Tau and the Imperium. I think the Tau jumped the gun and attacked the Imperium as soon as they could during the battle with the High Fleet Leviathan, the first one. And then the Eldar have done that as well against the humans when they were fighting the orcs. Specifically, I forget what the craft world was called, but it's the red one, the one that has all the speeders.
Alatoic, something like that?
Yeah,
Alatoic.
Yeah, before they even finished killing off the orc threat, they turned around and they fought the, I think they were the Talaran guys, I think.
Talaran? Desert Raiders?
Yeah, but yeah.
Así es la vida.
Next question.
This one's by Shaw, that guy. Who would win, the Imperium of Man at the height of the Great Crusade, or the Imperium during modern times? Definitely Great Crusade. There's no way of looking at it. Like, they had all the Primarchs there. Well, most of them. Most of the Primarchs there. And they were just the fighting force. They were able to take on the biggest orc empire that has ever been seen and come out on top. Nowadays, the Imperium is struggling with just like Armageddon, and not just that, but worlds can't even get rid of orcs. They're just that much of a threat. So yeah, hands down, Great Crusade era, that's the best the Imperium was, at least military-wise.
Yeah, and you have to remember that the military factions were unified back then, and now they're all fractured because of the Horus Heresy. That was like the whole point.
Yeah.
So it just takes them a little bit slower, which is probably why Armageddon is still going on. Mm-hmm. That's something that we always forget, and I think you mentioned this in a couple of Greater WAAAGH episodes, that GW usually tends to talk about a planet and then just like move on and be like, I mean, it's there. They're still fighting, but we're moving on now. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, every planet gets their 15 minutes of fame, and then GW comes behind them, puts a hand on their shoulder and says, okay, you can log out for me.
Next question.
This one is by Zadrigo. If a birth of a god means the destruction of a huge area of the galaxy, just like it happened with the Eldari Empire during the birth of Slaanesh, wouldn't the Emperor's rebirth as a god mean the destruction of Holy Terra and the Segmentum Solar? Would that maybe be the endgame of Warhammer 40K?
If what?
So he's saying the birth of a god usually creates some cataclysmic event in the universe, such as the Eldar and all that. So if the Emperor came back as a god, would that mean the destruction of Terra and a huge part of humanity?
That's a good question, because part of that, like, you have to look at what happened with Slanesh, but also take into account that Slanesh was consuming the souls of the people that were causing him or her to, or it to manifest.
Them, they.
So does that mean that when the god of the light or the god of order is born, he's going to consume all of those worshippers of humanity? And if that's the case, it would be kind of smart, but at the same time kind of dumb, because it's like you're absorbing most of humanity, and you're not only going to weaken yourself, but you're going to weaken the other chaos gods, because humanity's not doing their thing anymore. Their presence in the warp is not as strong, so everything else is going to weaken in the warp. But then at the same time, it would be dumb because you are weakening yourself.
Yeah, it's like, how do I put it? It's kind of like a car. Like whenever you turn your car on, the ignition uses up a bunch of like fuel and oil and energy to start the car, and it's like, well, I can't go, the distance now because I've used up all that fuel, oil, and energy that I need to continue going.
Yeah. So that's why maybe he's just filling up the tank, or like waiting till there's like a
threshold, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, there's this many people, I can be born now, consume, 75% of them, and the 25% is going to be left for me to continue to fight. That is if that even happens.
Right.
Because when Segraw, when Cain, when Isha were born, we didn't hear anything about them destroying
portions of like the Eldari Empire.
Yeah, it was only Slanesh. And that could be because of her power or because it was malicious. So
yeah, we just don't know.
Yeah, and those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. We do this a couple times a week. If you guys have suggestions, just comment. That's the wrong type of video. Thanks for watching, guys.
This has been the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.